Nicki Minaj starts each day somehow managing to make things even more chaotic than they already are. After that explosive encounter at Amphist with Erica Kirk, she believed she was ready to go after Don Lemon, but everything quickly went sideways.
Nicki don't need to worry about Don. She need to be with damn Don Lemon. Nicki Minaj needs to be worried about Chris Hansen. She needs to be.
Because the truth that came out afterward revealed this had nothing to do with Don in the first place. It was really about money, and the pressure surrounding it was growing louder than any online drama. Sources say Nicki has been under serious stress, and that tension is making her lash out at anyone in her path. Many online claim her finances have been shaky, pointing to one major factor: her choice to stay loyal to her husband, Kenneth Petty, despite the constant headlines it generated. At one point, Nicki reportedly came close to losing her home due to a major lawsuit tied to Kenneth, having to put up $500,000 just to keep it. But instead of stepping back to regroup, Nicki stayed active online, stirring up more drama. Exactly why Hughley stepped in to remind her she has bigger issues to focus on than going at Don Lemon. Hughley emphasized what fans had already suspected. Her husband's situation has been draining her energy and attention, especially since she's carrying the financial burden herself.
What I'll say to Nicki Minaj, I normally don't respond to things like this, but, F it, I'm going to do it this time. I think Nicki Minaj has made it very clear how she feels about African Americans in this country, or I don't think she's one of them, obviously, and she should, under Trump's rules, she should be deported, because I don't think, reportedly, that she is a legal citizen here. She is undocumented, and so she has shown her disdain for African Americans. So why are you supporting her? Why are you buying her records? She's also supporting, I have lots of gay friends who love Nicki Minaj. Why are you supporting this homophobic, bigoted, ignorant?
Nicki's fans tried to frame that settlement as a win since she managed to keep her home. But deep down, everyone knew this wasn't the kind of victory you celebrate. It was more about narrowly avoiding disaster. And every close call comes with a reminder. The pressure is real, the financial stress is loud, and the cracks are becoming impossible to ignore. Imagine having to shell out $500,000 because your husband couldn't handle his own legal issues. That's a huge burden for anyone, especially someone with a career as massive as Nicki's. Kenneth runs into trouble and Nicki ends up footing the bill. That alone is enough to sting for someone who built an empire from scratch. Now, rumors are swirling that she's partnering with Erica Kirk and stepping into political circles, seemingly to manage the financial fallout, which has critics calling it a desperate move.
Nicki Minaj's brother and his attorneys thought he would be walking out of court a free man today. Jelani Mirage was convicted last November of repeatedly raping an 11.
Watching someone with a legacy like Nicki's spiral into this kind of chaos is tough. It slowly eats away at everything she's worked for. But Hughley argues she doesn't deserve sympathy, pointing out that these were choices she knowingly made, especially by standing by people connected to those with legal troubles. His point hit hard because it reflected what many fans were already suspecting. Her loyalty is costing her far more than just money. Now, let's dive into the house situation because that's where things start getting truly complicated.
Yesterday, US Weekly broke the news that Nicki Minaj's house is at risk of being seized due to a lawsuit.
Under Trump's rules, she should be deported because I don't think, reportedly, that she is a legal citizen here. She is undocumented.
Back in 2024, Nicki faced a default judgment of about $500,000 stemming from a lawsuit connected to her husband, Kenneth Petty. The whole situation dates back to a 2019 incident in Germany while Nicki was on tour. She reportedly got into a heated confrontation with a female security guard, and a male guard stepped in to intervene. That guard, Thomas Widner, tried to calm things down, but according to the lawsuit, the situation escalated after Nicki allegedly told Kenneth to step in. Thomas claims Kenneth struck him from the side, causing a serious jaw injury, which eventually led to the lawsuit. That single moment turned into years of legal battles, heavy fines, and a financial burden Nicki had to shoulder. And that's the part everyone keeps talking about. What started as a conflict overseas snowballed into a major financial strain, public scrutiny, and a constant reminder that every move in this business carries bigger consequences under the spotlight. And now, this is where everything truly descends into chaos.
So you can see the protesters here have gathered over here. They're in the middle of the church. in the beginning of the church service, the pastor was speaking, and Nikema stood up and said her piece, and then the protesters surrounded her. But this is a clandestine mission. I think they found out according to them, this is according to Operation Pull-Up, that one of the pastors here is a member of ICE, and so here we.
The lawsuit named both Nicki Minaj and Kenneth Petty, but instead of facing it head-on, they left Germany after authorities issued an order against Kenneth regarding the incident. Since neither showed up in court or responded to the claim, the judge automatically ruled against them, opening the door for even more complications. Once the judgment was finalized, the money still hadn't been paid, and the security guard pushed the case further, asking the court to seize Nicki's Hidden Hills mansion to cover the debt. Shockingly, the judge was seriously considering it because the house had enough equity to cover the full amount. That meant the mansion was literally one step away from being forced into a sale, a move that would have stunned the entire industry. But just one day before the sale could begin, Nicki suddenly produced the full $500,000 and stopped everything from moving forward. The timing made it feel like a last-second rescue, signaling that things behind the scenes were far tighter than they appeared. She kept the house, but no one was calling it a clean victory. It looked more like narrowly escaping disaster with seconds left on the clock. And that's the embarrassing part, having to pull out $500,000, not because of anything she did, but because Kenneth got caught up in a legal problem he couldn't handle. That should have been the wake-up call, the moment to slow down and reassess. But instead of confronting the issue privately, Nicki redirected that frustration outward, aiming it at Don Lemon as if he were the cause of her problems. That move confused a lot of people because the situation had nothing to do with him. Yet stress makes people lash out, and this was one of those moments where the pressure boiled over. It all started when Don Lemon covered a live protest in St. Paul, where activists interrupted a church service to protest U.S. immigration and customs enforcement. The demonstrators were upset because one of the church's pastors, David Easterwood, also served as an acting field director for ICE, and they wanted their voices heard. As a journalist, Don Lemon was doing his job, live streaming the scene and reporting on what was happening on the ground. Don Lemon described how protesters gathered in the middle of the church and explained how the service was disrupted when people stood up and spoke. But Nicki Minaj jumped into the conversation before knowing the full story. Seeing a church involved, she assumed the worst and began attacking Don Lemon online with harsh language. She shared a photo of a horror movie doll and wrote, "Don Lemon is disgusting. How dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up." Her post spread rapidly, shocking many because it didn't match the actual events, and it drew heavy backlash. Observers pointed out that marching into a worship service, even in protest of something serious, is controversial, but reporters covering the event are not participants. Lemon wasn't protesting. He was documenting and explaining the crowd's actions to his audience. Don Lemon pushed back strongly, noting that journalism is protected by the First Amendment and that covering protests, even disruptive ones, is part of his job. He emphasized that he was reporting, not participating in the demonstration. This sparked a major online debate about media coverage, public perception, and how quickly social reactions can spread misinformation, especially when politics and religion collide. When Nicki called for Lemon to be locked up, he responded in a video, pointing to her own legal history in the US and her immigration background. His response intensified the situation online, highlighting contradictions in her statements. He stressed that he normally wouldn't engage, but felt compelled this time, challenging her actions and her record with the public. This moment instantly shifted the conversation. Regardless of opinions about Don Lemon, the exchange shone a spotlight on Nicki Minaj, exposing contradictions in her behavior. Many began revisiting her history. She had openly discussed her immigration status years ago. Born in Trinidad and Tobago, she had addressed her undocumented status as a child. Back in 2018, during the Trump administration's family separation controversy, she wrote about the terror of being an illegal immigrant at age 5, describing the fear of losing her parents in a foreign place. That post resurfaced and people started sharing receipts, further fueling the online storm. What began as a local protest livestream in Minnesota quickly transformed into a national debate about credibility, context, and emotional versus factual responses. People were reminded of the fear and trauma she had once understood firsthand. Yet fast forward to today, and Nicki was aligning herself with MAGA circles, praising Donald Trump, and appearing to dismiss the principles she had once publicly stood on. This shift left many questioning her motives. Is Nicki genuinely struggling financially, or is she simply saying whatever is needed to stay relevant? On the other side, Hughley says none of this should come as a surprise because in his view, Nicki has a history of defending the wrong people. He pointed out that she remains loyal to individuals in her life who have faced serious legal issues, and he sees that same pattern reflected in her sudden dive into MAGA circles without hesitation. And DL isn't the only one who remembers her past. Long before her husband Kenneth entered the picture, Nicki publicly supported her brother Nicki Minaj, who was convicted years ago of a serious offense involving a minor. The details are a matter of public record, but we won't repeat them here because they're inappropriate. The key point is that it was a severe case that resulted in a decades-long sentence. During that trial, Nicki's brother and his attorneys held out hope for an acquittal, but the jury found him guilty based on the evidence. Even after that outcome, Nicki wrote a letter to the judge asking for leniency, describing Nicki as the most patient, gentle, genuine, giving, and selfless man she knows. That letter became a major talking point, with many people saying it revealed where her loyalties truly lie. That's why some observers argue this side of Nicki isn't new. It's just that the mask is finally slipping. Supporting someone through legal trouble is one thing, but defending people involved in serious wrongdoing sparks a different kind of conversation, one that doesn't fade easily. Now, the internet is buzzing. Does Hughley have a point when he says Nicki has far bigger issues to handle than Don Lemon? And what about her sudden embrace of MAGA messaging? Is this a sign of desperation because her husband's situation is draining her stability? Or is she struggling to maintain consistent hits in her career? Or has she always been this person, with the industry only now seeing it clearly? Drop your thoughts below, because this discussion is only heating up, and the next chapter in Nicki's story is guaranteed to shake things up even more.